Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today. And though you've come through many obstacles.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to The Owl House, Season 2, Episode 18. So, we have only 3 episodes to go of this season after this one. And as I believe I said last time, it sucks that we're getting near the end of the season, but I'm also excited to see what that brings. Because the second half of the season has been non-stop exciting, non-stop just really important episodes, and even though the last episode was definitely the weakest of the set so far, and honestly one of the weakest of this season, I still think that it was obviously really important. It told us a lot of big things. It told us that King is a Titan. And even though it didn't directly say it or confirm it, it kind of showed it on a poster. The Titan that they were looking for, the last remaining Titan, was the son of the Boiling Isles. The lost son of the Boiling Isles. King is the son of the Titan of the Boiling Isles. The Titan that Bellows claims to speak to. Kind of a big deal, if you think about it. Yeah, there's just a lot of big stuff that's being implied and being grown with this. King is definitely going to be very important going forward, which makes sense. He's one of the main characters, so it makes sense. It tracks. So the question kind of goes down to what next? Since we only have 3 episodes after this, what do we do next? We still have to find Hunter. Hunter ran off somewhere. And with the Day of Unity fast approaching, we have to see what's going to happen with Rain, what's going to happen with Terra Snapdragon, because she's clearly going to have some role to play in this. Looks like Darius and Eberwolf are working with Rain, so they're on the side of good. They're on the rebellion side. A lot of things are definitely in the works. And of course, Bellows himself is the big problem, being a witch hunter, as we found out. But then there's also how last episode ended. Ida and Lilith were at the house, and the Emperor's Coven came to go after them. I think they're already gone. My theory is that they are already gone. They're not going to be there when Luz and Hootie and King return. So I'm thinking that Luz, King, and Hootie are going to find them missing, or maybe find some kind of note or some kind of clue, some kind of something. And they're going to have to find them. And maybe that's going to tie into this episode. I feel like it almost has to. They can't just, like, ignore that. Last episode is one of the only ones of this series that actually left off on a full cliffhanger. Not include... well, I guess you kind of have to include the 2-parter in Season 1, at the end of Season 1. And it's kind of just as impactful with what happened at the end of Season 1. This is getting intense. These last 4 episodes are going to be, like, just off the chain, and I'm getting excited. We're likely going to see more Hunter, more Amity, more Willow and Gus, and maybe more of the Rebellion and everything in these episodes. And then next season, even with its shortened length, though double-length episodes, it's going to be insane. Basically, next season is kind of, I think, the length of Moon Knight. Because I think it's 6 episodes. Let me check real quick. Just to be sure, you know? Because I can bring it up easily once my browser starts acknowledging that it was opened. I think it's 6 double-length episodes for next season. Let me just make sure here. Oh no, it's 3. Sorry. I was thinking there was going to be like, I was thinking of like how long it technically is. So it's actually half the length of Moon Knight overall. 3 double length episodes for the 3rd season, which is really shitty. It really is. Disney really screwed this over. But again, as I've said before, I do really trust that Dana and the team will take care of it, that they will make it as good as they can. It's just, it sucks. It just really does. That's undeniable. So, who knows when we're exactly going to get those 3 either. Like, I doubt it's going to happen right away. We're going to get a break, some unknown length of a hiatus. We'll have to see. But in the meantime, we're just going to get this started and hope for the best. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, with that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. First off, huge congratulations to Severin. Just for having the absolute balls to quit the Emperor's Coven right then and there and go back to the Tiny Cat Coven. Like, fuck yeah. Just huge congrats to her for sticking up for herself and just saying, like, you know, my mental health has had enough of this shit. I'm done. I'm out. I'm free. It's like just huge excitement for that, and it's like we've seen her before. Because she's recognizable by having the horns under the hood, making it look like cat ears, and so we've seen her before. And so seeing kind of like that actually have something going on in this episode, a little mini character arc there for this random Emperor's Coven character, that's really cool. When this episode first started, I was really confused with the focus on Gus and the fact that it started like kind of casually before I realized it was a flashback. I was really confused and almost a little upset because I was thinking like, oh, you're not just going to try to do a slice of life episode here without addressing not flashback, the cliffhanger from last episode, are you? You're not going to just ignore that and move on for the time being and just do some random thing. But luckily that wasn't the case. It worried me by how it was being presented. And weirdly enough, I did not notice the voice was as different as it was. Like going back, I went back and listened to it after the reaction. Maybe it's because I've been watching reactions and stuff where his voice was normal, and I've been watching the series again with my sister, so I've been hearing Gus's younger voice again, and maybe because of that. In fact, I was watching some episodes with my sister earlier on the day I was recording this, and so I was hearing Gus's younger voice, and maybe it's because that was the last time I heard Gus in the series. My mind just did not register for some reason that the voice was a lot more notably different. And it was a different VA too, because the current VA, again, his voice changed as he grew up, so he can't quite do the voice as he originally used to. So they got a different VA to kind of emulate it. And it worked. It was actually pretty good. It's just because of not expecting it and being thrown off by it and everything, and because of rewatching through the series with my sister and with reactions and stuff, it didn't click with me right away, so it did throw me off. So that's not an issue. I'm not worried about that. But it did throw me off that that's how the episode started, because we saw Gus in there, and my first thought was like, is his hair different? That was my first thought. I didn't realize he looked younger. I'm just thinking his hair looks different. That was what I noticed. And he's talking about doing this thing. I'm like, oh no, you're not like just gonna ignore what happened last time. But then it reveals it's a flashback, and I kind of started to put that together once I saw Willow's hair. I noticed her hair, and I'm like, wait, your hair's different. Your hair's how it used to be. And then I'm starting to put it together as she's talking to him. I'm starting to realize that this is their first interaction. And I'm like, and then it clicks like right before it says it. Right before it reveals that it was just a flashback. And so we do find out in the current day that apparently Amity received some messages from Luz that some of them aren't quite decipherable, but she got certain aspects of the gist of things. And apparently Luz, King, and Hootie are also just kind of unaccounted for at the moment. No one seems to know where they're at the moment after that adventure. And because of the Emperor's Coven surrounding the Owl House, it's like Ida and Lilith aren't anywhere to be seen. This episode, like when that kind of like was revealed and everything, it's like, I'm like, oh, are we not gonna see them for a bit? Like maybe until like the second to last episode or something? Like, are we gonna not see them next episode? But as we got further on, it's like, okay, this is addressing pretty much all the other really notable good characters. So I'm thinking maybe it was just this episode's going to kind of leave us hanging. Just kind of really drag out that cliffhanger a little bit. And then next episode, we're going to get back to see what they're doing. So this episode kind of really touched on a few big things and really brought things into the rebellion that's going to be happening against the Day of Unity and Emperor Bellos. We see that Gus and Willow and Amity are like just kind of hanging out and talking. Amity is trying to be friends with Willow, but is having a little bit of a tough time because she's trying not to lose her again, and because of it, she's babying her a little bit. She's treating her as if she needs to be protected. And it's like, you understand where Amity's coming from. She's scared to lose her as a friend again. She just wants to protect her. She has that kind of protective nature to her, especially with things that she cares for and doesn't want to lose. So, yeah, you get it, but at the same time, she's obviously not right in the way she's treating Willow. But she's getting told off for how she's acting, and it's being made clear that she's in the wrong. And then the plot happens. And it happens really suddenly. Suddenly they're brought into the gym, and we're introduced to the head witch of the Illusion Coven. And I think this is the guy who I mentioned in the episode. I think it was the episode with Hunter and the sports with Willow. Last time we saw all of that go down, I believe it was that episode where we saw all the coven heads and Hunter like being rejected by them, and he talked to Darius, and Darius sent him on the mission and everything. I think it was that episode. But we saw all the coven heads, and I specifically, I think, pointed him out. And it's like, I want to know more about you. You have a very distinct look. And so now we get that. Turns out he's an absolute dickbag, but I'll get to that in a minute. So we see him, and at first he seems very nice, and he seems to be helping them and joining them in their fight against what Emperor Bellos is doing. But honestly, the instant it was said that he was part of the Illusion Coven, every red flag went off in my head. Like you could practically hear the alarm sirens just blaring in my head. And it's just like, because I know that the Illusion Coven, that the purpose of that track is deception. And yeah, obviously can be used for good things, of course. But deception just in its root. And because of that, like, my just instantly, when they mentioned that he was the head of that coven, it's like, oh, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. You're tricking them. And lo and behold, I was correct. It's revealed that that wasn't even him talking, that it was one of his illusions, and it was another one of the guard talking. And that the fake stamp that he was going to give to them, most notably Edric, who was the first up there, I guess, to trick the Emperor and everything, was actually going to be a real one. So Edric almost had his magic sealed off. And like, when I realized that he's like obviously bad and it was an illusion, it was fake, and then Gus stopped it, it's like, when Gus stopped it and everything was revealed and Edric was safe, I was like, oh my fucking god, thank god. It's like, you just really endeared me to Edric a few episodes back. Please do not do anything to hurt this boy. Like, I always liked Emera more, and I still do. But they really endeared me to Edric. And so it's like, I really don't want anything like that to happen to him. So I'm really glad that Gus managed to see through the illusion. Unfortunately, when Gus is interrogated and everything, by the head witch, I can't remember his name, and I don't honestly give a shit. He's a dickbag. Like, he is such a smarmy asshole. Like, seriously, like, fuck this dude. I hate people with that kind of elitist personality. It's not even so much that he's very clearly extremely loyal to Belos. It's his personality. He is so high and mighty that it instantly pisses me off. I hate people who have that kind of attitude, who think that they are just inherently better than everyone else. It is such a toxic, disgusting mentality, and it just fucking irritates me. I hate people like that. So, seeing him be just such a smarmy asshole, it's like, just like, oh yeah, I fucking hate your guts. But Gus accidentally puts almost the entire school in this massive illusion that he can't control or take away. And Hunter, who he recently had a run-in with, because we find out Hunter has been hiding out here after, the trauma. Hunter saves Gus and starts to help everyone out. And Gus helped Hunter, and Hunter helps Gus, and they're going throughout the different illusions and having to face the enemies. I love that Hunter, like, really quickly realized that wasn't Willow, because he knew Willow and knew she wouldn't be freaked out by him and everything, and that she was just acting weird in general. So I'm really glad that he realized that. It kind of does suck that Gus didn't, but I mean, I think he was already kind of emotionally compromised by everything that was already happening, so I don't blame him. I don't entirely blame him. And yes, Hunter, you could say Hunter's been very emotionally compromised lately, but I think because he had such a massive dose of that with what he faced in Belos' mind with Luz, I think that's what allowed him to actually act a little, to see through it and to act a little better here. It was because he went through something so bad already. This was nothing by comparison. This was something that, honestly, he was probably kind of irritated by, because he likes Willow. He's friends with Willow, whether he openly admits that all the time or not. But yeah, so we see everything kind of go down. They go through the illusions, and eventually they are caught. Gus is taken hostage while Hunter is knocked out, and eventually gets in the hands of the rest of the school, who is in the healing homeroom. Everyone's getting healed and taken care of there, And Hunter works with them all, despite their initial distrust and everything. And they start an attack on the Emperor's Coven. And this is, in my opinion, the biggest highlight of this episode. More so, yes, than even Hunter reciprocating Gus's generosity and helpfulness by doing the same for him. Like, that was amazing and that was great, but we've already seen Hunter going in this direction. It's not as big a surprise anymore. It's more like, yes, this is our boy, we love him, and we're glad that he's on this path. But it's like, we kind of just expect it at this point. Especially after what happened in the Emperor's mind. It's like, he's against Bellows now. He's just fully against Bellows, so we expect him to act like this, honestly. It's just natural progression for his character. But this entire school, led by Principal Bump, fighting against the Emperor's Coven like that, was honestly unexpected for me. I did not think that was going to happen in this. When Bump was coming up to them, I thought he was going to like trick them or lead them away or something. I thought it was going to be something like that. But no, seeing that he just like, he removes his talisman from his head and like just gets in battle stance as the illusion behind him is uncovered and everyone is revealed. And then they just like charge and it's like, oh my god, this is amazing. It was so unexpected in the most beautiful way. And the actual like attacks, like they don't give a lot of time to all of it, but it's still great. Seeing Amity and Willow working together and combining their spells and all was just beautiful. And then we do get the part where Hunter goes in to save Gus, and he succeeds. He helps him. He's able to use his own experiences and his own traumas, and the fact that Gus helped him through that in order to return the favor. He shows that he has grown, and we love it. And we've already seen how Hunter has bonded with the likes of Viney and Willow and Skara. And so now seeing him bond with Gus, which was hinted at a little bit before, seeing it come full circle and really like come into this episode, it's wonderful. It's great. It's just great seeing Hunter get friends. It's like, that's what we want to see. And that's what Darius is rooting for too, and I'm hyped about that. I'm glad that we can trust Darius. The fact that he is in the rebellion working with Rain, we can trust him now. Darius is a good boy. But in all seriousness, it's like, yeah, seeing Hunter help out here was great. And seeing him fully come clean to everyone in the end and tell them what's going on, awesome. He's fully on our side. He's back. He had a bit of trouble after the trauma, but he's back and he's ready to fight, I think. So now we just have to touch base back with Luz, with King, Hootie, Lilith, Ida, all of them. And we have 3 episodes to get through it, and then 3 episodes of season 3. And that's it. And we are shockingly close to the end of this series. And although, again, there's most likely going to be a notable hiatus in between the end of Season 2 and the 3 episodes of Season 3, I'm not ready for this. There's 6 episodes of the entire series left. And yeah, the 3 of Season 3 are going to be double length. So the equivalent of 6 episodes, you could say. But that's still like that's still less than like a third of what this season is. And that's really sad that we're getting that little content. And again, I trust Dana and the team. They're going to make it work. But I'm really sad that this series is almost over. But the fact that it's been this good, and the fact that Season 2 has been just so much better than Season 1, and the fact that Season 2B has been even better than the first half of the season, It just keeps getting better. I trust that it's going to end off in a very satisfactory way. We just obviously wish it didn't have to end off this way. So, yeah. Unfortunately, we are getting close, but we'll definitely hope for the best here. And honestly, it does just come across as getting close to the end. We're reaching the day of unity. We're reaching the final battle with Bellows. Like, everything's coming to a head. Like, this is how it should be ending. Not every show needs to go on forever. It's just, we do wish there was a full season 3, or at least half of the episodes we would normally get. Like, 10 episodes would have at least been great. But as long as it's handled well, as long as it's still written well, as long as it feels good and satisfying, that's the most I can hope for at this point. So, tell me in the comments below what you thought of this episode of The Owl House Season 2, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.